Welcome to the program on principles of supply chain management. In the last few sessions, we were seeing various planning process in a hierarchical way. We have started with the strategic planning. Second process was business planning. Third one was SNOP, and we are going to continue in the same hierarchical level. So strategic is a stopper, and as we go further, we are going towards the operational level. Okay, and we have also seen what is ERP, enterprise resource planning, especially that becomes essential when you are having a complex environment. Many of the products, for example, if you take a car, it requires nearly 25,000 components coming from thousands of vendors, placed in different location, having different lead time. So when you have to decide what to order, when to order, and how much quantity required for each of these 25,000 components, it requires a lot of computing, and doing it manually is error prone apart from laborious process. Of course, we were doing it manually some 50 years back, but now everything is automated, and this is where you need some form of a software. Also, it's a process, not exactly a software, it's a process. ERP is a process supported by a software. Okay, what are the process? This is what we are going to study in this series of session. We have started with SNOP. So product family numbers are finalized, which is a volume number, and that input is given in the ERP. And then next hierarchical process is MPS, master production schedule. In the earlier stage, we have decided what quantity we can do for a particular product family. Now we are going to talk in terms of a mix. Okay, in the product family there could be different models. Okay, so what will be the volume of each model, and when you add the total of each respective model, it should tally with the volume what is finalized in the previous hierarchy, that is SNOP hierarchy. So here in this process we are trying to manage a volume with the mix. Product family we are trying to break down into end product. Here also we are not talking about component, we are trying to break product family into respective product. That's what happens in MPS, master production scheduling. This is also called a mix planning. SNOP is volume. Now those volume is broken into respective end product, and we are trying to schedule. Okay, as per the requirement, as per the forecast, we are going to schedule. Of course, when you take MPS, the input comes from the previous process, that is SNOP. There we have finalized what is the quantity to be produced, and by using this MPS process, we are trying to give a output to the next process, which is called MRP, material requirement planning. So we need to decide at this stage what is the breakup, and when, how much, what period these are required. That's what is the process done. This is where some knowledge about MPS grid is required. This we do in a different program, detailed program, how to do this scheduling, what are the different time fences and zones. Especially we have two fences. One is called demand time fence, another one is a planning time fence. As far as zones is concerned, there are three zones. One is a frozen zone, then slushy zone, liquid zone, and what is activity required to be done in each of the stages. In fact, this master production scheduling itself is one of the activity, planning activity. They are called scheduler. You can also choose this option. This planning, core planning function. I have been handling MPS for many years. Okay, so you should know how this process happens by using this MPS grid. Of course, now with the usage of ERP, it does all the work, but still, if you need to control the parameters, you need to understand what is happening in the background. And here we are going to do some calculation using the system, something called PAB, projected available balance. Then the output of this process is important one is MPS, master production schedule. End product wise, what is the schedule required? Next one important thing is called A to P, available to promise. So at this stage, even you can promise to the customer, if there is a inquiry, either customer can log into the system and find out whether this part, this quantity, this time period delivery is possible or not, or they can inquire with the marketing team, I need this part quantity, is it possible? This is where ATP calculation is made possible by using MPS process. We also have one more advanced level called C2P, capable to promise. There it is going to check the capacity of our resources and then going to make promises. Of course, MPS is used mostly in the manufacturing environment. It is coordinating various internal resources and aligns with the top strategical planning and links up with the manufacturing resources in the form of scheduling. Okay, it's a core knowledge, planning knowledge for a supply chain professional, especially if you are in supply chain, manufacturing supply chain. You should know about details about this process. Along with the next important process is called MRP, material requirement planning. This is also one of the important planning function. The designation could be supply planning or material planning or inventory planning. Their function is to break down the end product into component level. Now we have reached the operational level. As we have seen from strategic, we have moved gradually towards the component level. In MRP, we are talking about component level, what quantity required, when this item has to be ordered. Of course, this is also a part of ERP process. Okay, this is also one of the core planning function. We get the input from MPS, that is the previous process, which says each of the end product what quantity is required. Now in the system it breaks down each of the end product into required component. I hope many of you are aware about BOM, bill of material. It is something document which says for building a particular finished product, what are the components required, what are the quantity required. So it is usually done by the design team and it is available in the ERP. So in the MRP process, it goes and checks what are the component required for manufacturing a product. Then also it checks what is inventory available in hand and what we have already ordered to the vendor, what is balance expected, and it does some type of a netting. Okay, balance, it says we need to order this quantity this time and it should come in this period, and if we have already set who are the vendors for this component, then it directly releases the schedule to those vendors. Okay, now more or less it follows electronic media, no printing is done, everything happens online. By this process, we are initiating action for producing the component either at the vendor place or your own internal production resources at a component level. Okay, so in the planning hierarchy, this is the last process dealing with the component level. This at this stage the ordering takes place. If you are dealing with the outside supplier, it could be either purchase order or simply releasing the schedule. In case of internal manufacturing, it could be a manufacturing work order. Okay, so we are talking about components. So many of the product, if you see, it can be a simple product with just a few tens of component, but when you go to the complex product, it can have thousands of component. In one of my last organization, we were building machines for construction sector. There were nearly 5,000 components required to make one machines. Okay, so in the MRP process, it is going to check all the this BOM, bill of material, and what is inventory at hand, what we have already ordered, and finally it gives a net requirements, how much of each of this component is required to be ordered, when we have to order, what is the quantity, when it should be delivered. All this are done at this stage. Okay, accordingly order takes place. Of course, this doing it manually in the present environment is not possible. You need to depend on the system. Coming to other important core area for planning is inventory management. Without having knowledge of inventory management, it is impossible to do supply chain management. Now you know it is a backbone of any supply chain management process. How do you manage the inventory? Of course, it has to start from forecasting, then planning, then subsequent process. Okay, uh, this is also one more detailed concept. We do have several program on inventory management, starting from 2 hours and going up to 18 to 20 hours to deal on this topic alone. Okay, especially this becomes very important in a large organization where thousands of SKUs are there. In my previous organization, I was handling nearly 50,000 SKUs. Okay, inventory worth 500 crores, and it is not very easy to handle when you have such a huge volume. So coming to primary purpose of inventory, why do you keep all this inventory? The basic purpose is to serve to the customer. Okay, when there is a demand, you are going to provide the item, either extract immediate delivery, or you are going to build the product and deliver to the customer. So number one purpose is to serve the customer. Okay, number two is utilization of resources. Okay, whether demand from customer is there or not, now most of the manufacturing plant, they have invested hugely in the resources. It could be machinery, equipment, and labor resources. So you need to occupy them. Okay, this is where utilization of resources comes into play. So this is a second important thing apart from meeting customer demand. Second one is, how do you ensure proper utilization of your own resources? And the third one is doing these two activity at a minimum level of inventory. That's most important. Okay, you cannot have tons of inventory to meet these two objectives. You should see how you can ensure those two activity by having minimum inventory. What is this minimum inventory? It depends on the product and kind of industry, and it can be different for different industries. And there are different types of inventory, starting from raw material, work in progress, finished goods, goods in transit, MRO. Like that, there are different types, and they may be required for different purpose. In the sense, one is a cycle stock, basic inventory required, and then you have something called safety stock, protect against uncertainties. Okay, third one could be, you may be ordering some item due to batch sizes, either for the internal product production, or from the external supplier who says minimum quantity. So you are getting this item from various for various reason. You may see surprised to see, actually in a month you may need only 10 units, but you may be having 100 units. Okay, why? Because maybe you are having 20 units as a safety stock, and maybe a batch size or MOQ could be another 20 units, or EOQ, like that. For various reason it is there, but actually you need only 10 units. due to lot of unfortunate unavoidable circumstances, inventory keeps building up, and many times you may see that unwanted inventory is simply building up, whereas some critical item the stock is not available. When we say inventory management, you should take care in terms of avoiding the stockouts and ensuring the material availability. Coming to one more important topic, on safety stock, we can speak hours together. It is not understood many, even by the experienced professional. A safety stock is not equal to your inventory. It is only a portion of inventory, and generally, as a thumb rule, it should not exceed 20% of your inventory. And this safety stock is provided for some specific reason. It is going to give response to some kind of uncertainty, especially in terms of demand and supply. And there are some formulas available how to calculate them. Yeah, of course, now when we say we have to handle all the activity with the minimum management, you should also know what are the techniques available to manage it. That's where lean management comes into play. We will continue our session in the next session. Thanks for watching. Bye.